Hi guys, welcome to another tutorial. In this one we're going to be skinning this gun and making a weapons attachment system without any code. I'm going to do another video doing another attachment system with code, but I wanted to make this one simplified and kind of go over, it covers how the snap points and the grabbable events can work together, and you can actually get some pretty cool stuff without doing any code at all. So this one, when you grab it, you'll have a hologram pop up, and you can put it on there. And this one's also got a flashlight, so that's pretty cool. And come here. There we go. And as you can see, I can't pull off the attachments, but I've got a release button set up to where I can release and I can grab things off. The reason you want that is if you reached up to do that with your gun, you wouldn't want to accidentally pull your side off. So that's pretty cool. So anyway, if you're interested, stay tuned. Okay, I'm just in Unity and I'm in the XR demo scene. First thing is you're going to need a couple of things. I'm going to be using a free shader from the asset store to create the hologram effect. If you're going to be doing a URP project or an HDRP project, you'll have to make your own shader. Lots of tutorials on YouTube about how to make shaders, where you can buy a shader, but the process will be the same. But for the sake of keeping this simple, I'm going to use a free asset for that. And I want to do it in a 3D project. So you're going to need two things. We're going to need to go up to our project manager, and you'll get these from the asset store. You're going to need the rifle FN. It looks like this, and I'll leave a link for this in the description. And you're also going to need a hologram effect shader. This is also a free asset from the asset store, so go ahead and import both of those into your project and we'll carry on. I've already imported both of them. After you get them imported, you'll have this folder called SCAR and one called Peterloo hologram shader. So let's go up to our items in our demo scene and just disable them to get them out of the way. I don't know. You can pick whatever table you want to work off of. I like working on top of a table. And let's go into our BNG framework and go into prefabs. Go into weapons, and the rifle model has a handle. So we're going to use the rifle with a grip. It's got a grip as well. And the model actually matches up to this really well. You don't have to do any sizing or anything to get it to work. About the only thing I don't like about the free model that I'm using is that the trigger isn't a separate object and there's no eject point. So I'm not going to go into a lot of great detail on how to skin the gun. BNG has a really thorough tutorial on how to skin weapons. So anyway, once you get that pulled into your scene, let's go into the SCAR folder and go into prefabs. And here's the gun. You don't want to throw this directly on the rifle because it'll shoot it out somewhere. So what we're going to do, you can see with weapons, you'll deal with this a lot. That a lot of times they're not on the same axis, or the sizing will be way off. So get comfortable with that when you start skinning weapons. So we're going to go, 90. Bring it into where we need it at. And we're going to click on our rifle grip and then just copy X. Control C, and then come back over to our SCAR rifle, and then on the X, paste it, and that'll get us centered on the rifle. From there, you can bring it up and bring it back, and I usually go off at the trigger point in the handle and try to get it about right. That way I don't really have to change the grab points to match the new gun mesh, where I have to change them very little. Okay, so once you're happy with that, I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time on it. Let's just go ahead and take it and make it a child of, well, before we do that, let's unpack this. We'll unpack this. And, why didn't you unpack? Prefab. Unpack. There we go. Just make it a child. Okay. So from here, I'm just going to go ahead and finish lining this gun up. So This handle is actually a separate object. You could make this an attachment as well, but for the sake of this, I'm just going to put it where I want it at. And let's see. Now on this gun, the pull is actually on the opposite side, but if you look at it, both sides of the gun are exactly the same. So what I did was I just took this and flipped it. See. Is it? Yeah. All right. Yeah, flip it this way. And then I just pulled it over so that it was in the right spot. And like I said, you're going to spend more time doing this than I am for this. Okay, that's probably pretty good. Yep, I'm happy with that. That'll work for this because this is about the attachment system. I just wanted to get the gun set up. So after you're happy with that, go up to your, where is it at? Rifle graphics. And just select them all and get rid of the meshes. And then up here on the slide, we can go ahead and get rid of the mesh on that too. That way you're just left with a gun. And if you want to check it, you can jump into VR and pick it up and all that stuff. Then, real quick, our muzzle point, we can pull that out to the end of the gun. Line it up a little better. And then our muzzle flash, we're going to enable it and bring it down so it's in the right spot. And I'm not going to go into skinning the clip in this one because this is about the attachment system. So anyway, go ahead and take your scope and then just make sure that you got the parent. You can see how the center point is way off from where the scope's at. So what we're going to do is we're just going to duplicate it, and then we're going to take the flashlight. Oh, where are you? We're going to duplicate that. And then we're going to come up here and we're going to do right click, create empty. And I'm going to call this flash light. Call it grab. That way we know what it is. And we're going to pull that out so that it's not a child. We just want it to be a separate object. Now we can take our duplicated flashlight, take these. Did I do the right one? No, let's rename this. We call this scope grab. Maybe it's the wrong one. Scope grab. Okay, scope grab, and then we'll grab our scope. We'll pull those in there, and then you can just delete that. And that way we've got a centered up scope instead of having an off point. And we'll do the same thing for the flashlight. So click on here, and then we'll do a right click, create an empty, and we'll call this flashlight grab. And same thing, just pull it out to where it's not a child of the gun. And then you can take your flashlight and pull that in there, and then you'll have something that's actually centered up on where the flashlight needs to be. So let's just go ahead and delete that. Okay, so there's our grabbables. So now take this and just pull it over here, and then grab your flashlight and pull it over here, and you can see we now have doubles. So let's click on this one, and let's go to assets and go to the Peterloo and go to materials, and you'll have this basic rim. So click on here, and then for the body and the glass, we're just going to replace it with this, and click on glass and drop it over there. Now here on this you can play with the colors with whatever you want. I think I put a green color on my other one, but the main color, if you want a green, or maybe we'll do a blue on this one. So let's go ahead and bring this up, start getting a blue color going on, and then you can change your rim color. So maybe we want it to be somewhere in here. You can just play with the colors till you're happy with it. And then if you want it to be darker, you can bring this down to whatever you want it to be, and just keep playing with them. When you change this, it'll change it on the body and the glass because you're using one shader. So now let's come over here to our flashlight. Well, there we go. And same thing. Just drop it on there, then go to the glass, drop that on there. Okay, so there's our holograms. If you don't want these speakers and stuff in your way, just turn off the gizmos when you're doing this. That looks pretty cool. All right, yeah, we can work with that. All right, so now let's make these grabbable. So come to your flashlight and we'll add a component, rigid body. Yep, and then claps you down. Add a component, we'll say box collider, yeah. We'll do that next. And let's go ahead and edit it. It's going to be really big, so let's just pull it down. Pull it up. Yep. You guys can get more elaborate with your collider if you want to combine box colliders. And whoa, where'd you go? Just decided to jet off on me. Come back here. If you wanted to, combine box colliders and capsule colliders or whatever to get the collision that you want. I will say you don't want to just put a capsule collider on this because it'll roll whenever it's a flat surface. So you're definitely going to want a box collider on it somewhere. That's good enough for that one. Okay, so now let's add a component. And we'll make it remote grabbable. I'm not going to go into setting up grab points on this. But okay, so now let's come over to this one. Make sure you're on the parent. And we'll add a component, rigid body. Add a component, box collider. Again, it's going to be huge, and there are assets that will actually do this for you, but we'll just do it the hard way. It's only a couple of them. Yeah, that's good enough. That works for me. All right, grabbable. And we'll make it remote grabbable. Where are you? And I don't know, we'll make these fixed joints. Sounds good. All right, so now let's go into our assets and go into BNG framework, go into prefabs. We know why I always go in there. I'm just going to type it in anyway. We need a snap point. So to get these things where they need to be, we're going to use the body. So just take a snap point and slap it on the body. Oh, wrong one. I need this body, the one for the hologram. Slap it on the body so it's where it's supposed to be. Okay, and then we're going to take one and we're going to slap it on the body of the flashlight. So the hologram flashlight. It's like that. Now I believe that these are misaligned, so when we put it in there, the flashlight and the scope will be sideways. So I think it was, this is a guess, we'll find out. I think it's -90 on the Y. Okay. So from here, let's jump in VR and make sure our gravels and everything are working and make sure everything's lined up. And they are not. So let's hop back into Unity and change it back real quick. Okay, let's change this back to 0 for our snap points under our body for each one of these. And now let's see what that looks like. basically you just want to look at it and make sure that when you snap it in, they're in the exact same spot as your hologram. Everything looks pretty good. Got to make that a child of our slide. Okay, so real quick, let's come in here, and where are you? The gate needs to be a child of our slide. So let's just take this and throw it up there, and that should animate that back when we grab a hold of it. So we know our snap points are in the right spot. So now we just need to set up the stuff that makes it look cool. So go to the body and just go ahead and disable the mesh render and the glass. Disable the mesh render, and then come down to the body of the flashlight, and we'll go ahead and disable the mesh there, and we'll disable the mesh there. Now let's go ahead and get rid of these snap point rings. So code your snap point, string it out, go to the ring, disable it, and then come down here, go to the ring, and disable it. So now we're just going to have that hologram that pops up when we grab a hold of stuff. So now let's go ahead and click on the grabble. We want the parent and add a component, and we're going to do Unity. We're going to do grabbable Unity events. So if you come down to on grab, do a plus and do an on release plus, and then you're going to come over to where our hologram is at, which is on the gun. Where are you? Right here. We're going to take the body. We're going to take the body, and we're actually going to need 2 of these, one for each. And then we're going to take the glass. Pretty sure I'm on the right one. Let's see. Yep. Okay, and then click back on your gun. No, click back on your scope. Make sure you're on the parent. And we need the glass for our on release. So, glass. And then we're going to run mesh render. Bool enabled, true. Mesh render, bool enabled, true. And then this one's going to be mesh render, bool enabled, leave it false. Mesh render, bool enabled, leave it false. So now when we grab a hold of this, it's going to enable the mesh render, and then when we let go of it, it'll disable the mesh render. And then we're just going to do the same thing for the flashlight. So come over to our flashlight grabbable, and make sure you're on the parent, and let's add a component, grabbable Unity events. Come down, add two for on release and on grab, and then make sure that we've got our flashlight body here. So we're going to do the body, flashlight body on release, flashlight glass, lantern glass, and then we're just going to do the same thing. We're going to go down to the mesh render and bool enabled, true. Then mesh render, bool enabled, true. And on this one, we're going to do mesh render, bool enabled, leave it false. And then mesh render, bool enabled, leave it false. Now, from here, when you pick it up, it'll snap in. But we want to change something. We don't want to be able to remove this thing on accident. So let's come up to our rifle. And okay, so go ahead and come up to your rifle, and we're going to add a component, Unity grabbable events, and come down to, this could be any button you want. I'm just going to use button 1 down and button 1 up. We're going to add one for each one, and then on this we're going to do our snap points. So you're actually going to need 2 of these. So for our snap points, if you come down, go ahead for your body snap point. Put one on button up or button down, and then take it and put it on button up. And then come down to your next snap point, same thing. So for each one of these, we're going to go down to the grabbable, and we're going to do bool enabled, true, and then grabbable, bool enabled, true. And then button 1, grabbable, bull enabled, false. Same thing, grabbable, bull enabled, false. Now let's go over to our snap points, and we're going to do an on snap. So on snap event, we're going to take this snap point, slap that in there, and then we're going to go down to the grabbable, and we're going to say bull enabled, false. And then we're going to come down to this snap point. We're going to do the same thing. Snap point, grabbable, bull enabled, false. Alright, so let's jump in VR and see where we're at. Alright. See, I can't take it off by holding my primary button, which is my A button. It'll allow me to release it, and then on snap it disables it. So pull it off, you snap it back in, then you can't take it off. So they work together to give you a release system. Let's make sure that that's animated now. Yep. Okay, cool. Now for giggles, let's go ahead and Control duplicate that and pull that out. So it's not a child of anything. Oh, little blue line. There we go. Now let's go into our BNG framework, into our weapons, and let's grab a clip and we'll pull it in there. We'll pull this up, and then let's see, where did I put that? There it is. Let's go and pull that out. And we'll pull it over, and the same trick, if you click on your rifle magazine, and let's find position X. Wow, it's on 0. Okay, I don't believe that. Okay, maybe it is. Interesting. Alright. Anyway, just copy your X. Come over here. Oh, that's why. Okay. Now it makes sense. I wasn't clicked on the actual clip. Click on the rifle clip. There we go. Then control copy X, and then click on your other clip, store handle, and then just paste your X, and that'll get them centered up on each other. And then I'm pretty sure that this needs to be somewhere in this vicinity to look right. Yeah, pretty sure that's about right. So now just take this and make it a child of the clip. And there we go. And now we can come into our rifle clip. Where are you? Bullet holder. And there is that one. Yeah. We're not even going to use the bullets. Mesh renderer. Just so I can say that I halfway finished this gun. And after you do that, you can come up to your, let's see, where is it? Rifle magazine, and then just disable the mesh render, and that should be, you can see this magazine has its own bullets in it, but they're not separate objects. But hey, it's a free asset, and it's actually pretty good for a free asset. So this one, let's just go and delete that. Alright, so let's jump in VR and see what we got. Well, before we do that, this little laser is actually detachable too. You could make that another attachable thing. And if you like wanted different scopes or different attachments to the top of this gun, you would just put that object and do the exact same thing, and you'd have multiple objects in the same spot, and then the only one that would show up would be the one that you're picking up. So if I had, you know, some sort of laser thing on here that went on the top, when you picked it up, its hologram would show up. And when you pick this up, its hologram would show up, so on. So you could do as many attachments as you want. For now, I'm just going to get rid of this laser. Alright, so now let's jump in VR and see what all we got. Alright. alignment's off a little bit, but I'm not going to worry about that for this tutorial. Okay. See, we got that, and flashlight. And from here you could do your things like your choice of scope, mechanic, and flashlight. Pretty cool. And hold down your primary button, and the primary button works with either hand. So now if I'm holding it in my left hand, I'd have to hit the primary button on my left to let it release. Anyway. Well, I hope you enjoyed this and you have a new mechanic for your game. Like I said, this one was without using any code at all, only using the events and on the grabbles and on the snap points. You could use it for other things, not just weapons. And in a later tutorial, I'll be doing the same kind of rundown with one of these guns where I do it all in C#. Well, most of it anyway. Until then, thanks for joining.